Before we begin, I would like to briefly cover Carmilla's namesake and her portrayal in the game's source material. The story Carmilla, like Varney the Vampire last time, comes from English vampire literature predating Dracula by at least a quarter century. This one features lesbian panic in the Victorian era. The vampire gets abandoned with upper-class bachelorettes repeatedly, slowly coming into their beds and draining them dry over weeks. Carmilla has reappeared in various media since that outing, most notably by Ingrid Pitt in Hammer Horror and during the webisode series of the same name. Within Castlevania proper, she's battled many a Belmont as not just one foe, but multiple over different installments. Carmilla has most frequently been seen as a feminine form atop of an attacking sprite, often a skull, but sometimes she is just a mask. Carmilla's role proper has been that of a loyal follower of Dracula, at least once taking it upon herself to bring him back from the dead. Ironic that in this series she's the only faction to have not made such an attempt, outside of those who destroyed him the first time. She makes her feelings on that very well known later in this episode, although in the Castlevania Fighter, Castlevania Judgment, she appears as an impractically armored agent of general and spiteful destruction. I'd still like this version to take on Ivy or Taki from Soul Calibur, though. But on to the episode itself. We open on Carmilla's beautiful snow-capped mountain castle. The snow on top of the red roof tiles makes it look like blood splatters on white tiles. Ominous! Hector here shows a lot more initiative than he did in previous seasons, planting within the cracks in the walls various magical rocks, and bartering for maps of hell, as well as delivering some threats, and then working on his instrument to raise night creatures. Hector is a forge master, creating the various monsters to battle is kind of his job. It's not his only job, but it's the only one we can discuss without a mature content warning. Speaking of which, that's when Lenore walks in, and amidst a variety of banter and phallic innuendo, we get a glimpse into how Diplomat Lenore's usefulness has waned now that the more militant vampires are off to pen in wide swaths of humans. Her backstory is explored, Hector's hammer and what he needs it for are clearly defined and explained to his slightly resistant mistress. Their rings of submission and dominance being prominently featured in many frames. Hector cannot remove his ring, and so long as the vampire sisters wear theirs, he must do whatever they say. Hector tries his latest hammer, and Lenore gives him one more prompt to work faster before moving in to visit Carmilla. Carmilla's own obsessions and open wounds are further and finally laid bare here. Like so many women, Carmilla wants to have it all. But how many women have had to scrape together a fledgling territory in a sorority family after having everything taken from them? How many had to fight off werewolves and other invaders at the exact same time, while utterly forsaken and abandoned by peers unwilling to acknowledge them? And how many have finally been invited to Dracula's castle, only for a small glimpse to reveal a bunch of leaders just laying about, wasting time and everything else? She's already made one attempt to seize Dracula's castle, and that seems unaddressed here. But what is addressed is whether or not she can be happy. She admits that once the entire world, and nothing else is left, has fallen to her feet, she doesn't know if she'll be happy, but she suspects that she will be satisfied. On a less ominous and depressing note, we shift to our wandering duo again. They trigger a trap by Varney and company, who seem just as surprised to see them, because the trap was for someone else. City guards who have maintained the resistance of Varney's incursion and occupation. 3 of them come to the rescue, but only one walks out alive. Is it just me, or is she just a little too enamored with the prestige of her collapsed home? I guess we'll be seeing that next time. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And, yes, I know what you're going to say. Walk faster.